So here's a pretty funny story that just dropped. Absolute chaos as Trump supporters left stranded after Coachella rally hit by assassination scare. This is from The Independent. It's just chaos, absolute chaos, one person said while stuck at Calhoun Ranch hours after the former president exited the stage. See, because for some reason, even though there's only 3 weeks left before the election, Donald Trump thinks for some reason that time is best spent in California, trying to get support in a state that he has zero chance of winning. I think he's under by like 37 points in California. It's just not going to happen. There's no fucking way he's going to win California, but for some reason he came all the way out to Coachella in order to hold a rally. Coachella, for those of you who don't know, is in the middle of the desert. It's hot out there. That's where they have, the Coachella concerts every couple years or whatever. It's hot. There's nothing around. And what they had to do is they had to park way far away and like 6 miles away, and then they would bus people to the rally. And that's a very common thing, apparently, with these venues like this, because they do a lot of small venues. Like political rallies, sometimes they'll have it like at a small venue, and there's not a lot of parking there. So they'll rent out like a baseball field or something and park all the cars in their parking lot and then bus everything back over to where they're having the event. And that's what was going on here. And apparently Donald Trump didn't make good enough arrangements in order to get people back to their cars after the event. So let's go ahead and read a little bit here, because this shit is fucking hilarious. Donald Trump supporters were left stranded for hours in sweltering conditions at the Coachella Valley rally impacted by a suspected assassination attempt on the former president. We'll talk about the assassination quote-unquote attempt later on. Suffice to say, it actually wasn't, but let's continue. The Republican presidential nominee spoke in California on Saturday at an event plagued with issues from the offset. Along with Trump facing an altercation with a heckler, and an armed Las Vegas man who held ID documents under multiple names was arrested outside the rally, authorities claim Trump may have been the target of a third assassination attempt in as many months. No, he wasn't. While thousands of supporters were bussed into Calhoun Ranch, which was situated about 5 miles away from where they parked their vehicles, people attending claimed the event organizers had neglected transport for the return journey. The event organizers, of course, is Donald Trump and the Trump campaign. And instead of being shuttled away from the venue after Trump exited the stage at around 7 p.m., following a near 90-minute address, many attendees were left stranded in 93-degree heat, according to video footage on social media. That is, of course, 93 degrees Fahrenheit for people out in the rest of the world who use a sensible system like the metric system. We're still using freedom units here in the United States. Republicans against Trump. Thousands of people were stranded after the Trump rally in Coachella on Saturday night. The Trump campaign provided buses to bring people to the rally, but no buses showed up to take them back to their cars. Trump doesn't care about anyone but himself. And then here is the video. You can see
this isn't
all
normal.
The people.
Apparently the buses are no longer coming, or at least there used to be like 20 buses when we were being brought here, but now there's only like 3 buses operating, and it's an absolute, it's just chaos, absolute chaos. All of us are stranded here. Everyone's stranded here.
We don't really need to watch all of that, but he goes on to say, there's elderly people here, no water, no bathrooms, and they're stuck miles away, which you would think it was about 6 miles. You can walk that in like, an hour and a half, if you needed to. You could walk 6 miles. It's not that far. It's not a reason why you're going to die of exposure or something, but think, a lot of Donald Trump's followers are old. So think about someone who's in their 70s trying to walk 6 miles in the middle of the night when it's 93 fucking degrees outside. Not a very good time for a lot of people. Apparently the buses are no longer coming, said one attendee in the clip, taken more than 3 hours after the rally had concluded. So that was 10 o'clock at night while that was happening. There used to be like 20, blah, blah, blah. We saw that. It's chaos. Another clip posted to X, which has since been deleted, saw a rallygoer reportedly claim that there was only one bus in rotation, which took half an hour for each drop-off. Apparently what was going on is that there was one bus, and the reason why it took half an hour was because they used up all of the fuel for buses around there. There was no gas for the bus, and the only place they could get gas was half an hour away, so it would make a couple of trips. Then it would have to go refuel because buses are huge, giant things that get like 8 miles to a gallon or whatever. And then it would take half an hour for it to go refuel and then come back. Not good. Not good. Trump has yet to publicly speak on the busing debacle. He hasn't even said anything about it. But claimed on Truth Social that 100,000 people turned out for the rally in the typically blue stronghold, a state which Vice President Kamala Harris currently leads by almost 27%. So no, there was not 100,000 people there, as this next paragraph will say. However, a permit issued for the event by Riverside County was said to have capped the capacity at 15,000, according to a local news outlet, Desert Sun. So let's imagine, because there's no fucking way he got 15,000 people, no. Although, to be fair, Riverside out there, it's pretty conservative out there. Like, the further away you get from the major cities in California, the redder it gets. It's just that nobody lives out there. That's why those people are conservatives, because they're fucking wackaloons living in the middle of the desert. Well, let's say he got half of that. Let's say 7,000 people. That's a shitload of people. You need some buses. Let's say each bus can hold 100 people. It could take a very long time to get even half of that back to their cars. Even if you had 20 buses, it would still take a few hours going back and forth, back and forth. So with one bus, I'm surprised some people still aren't out there. The former president's campaign has faced a slew of backlash online for the purported organizational errors. At Real Donald Trump can't run a rally and you think he can run the country, wrote the Mick podcast host Ryan Sheed. He doesn't care about his supporters. You think he cares about you. Of course he doesn't give a fuck about you. This isn't even the first time this kind of thing has happened. Here is an article from 2020. Trump supporters at rallies continue to get stranded in chilly temperatures. Following at least 4 of President Donald Trump's rallies in the last 2 weeks, transportation issues left hundreds of supporters stranded for hours. In Nebraska, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Sunday night in Georgia, buses struggled to move crowds away from rally sites and through traffic. And after one rally, supporters were left to fend for themselves in freezing temperatures. We don't really need to read this, but apparently some people actually were hospitalized because of this. And this just goes to show that even back in 2020, the exact same shit was happening. It's a pattern. Say, this is not just a one-time thing. You can say, okay, they fucked up, all right, it was bad, whatever. No, it's not the first time this has happened. This has happened many times, at least 4 times in the past. What does that mean when somebody repeats their behavior over and over and over? It's not an accident anymore. He's doing it on purpose because he just doesn't fucking care. So this is from Faith M. Jackson. And you can see here 2 videos. Here's the first video out there earlier in the day of people dropping down of heat exhaustion and the like. And you can hear people calling for medics and everything like that because it's, once again, 100 degrees out there. Think about this for a second. Why would you hold a rally, a political rally, in the middle of the desert without adequate water for people? Why would you do that? In the middle of the desert, when it's 100 degrees out. 93 degrees Fahrenheit is what they said. Even if you're going to hold a rally in California, there should be hundreds upon hundreds of venues all over the place. Stadiums, concert halls, shit like that, just everywhere, where people can sit down, where they have fucking air conditioning and like bathrooms and shit. Why would you do it on a ranch in the middle of the goddamn desert at the tail end of summer, for fuck's sake? I guess you could say it's still not officially summer anymore. It's still hot as fuck in California. in the middle of the fucking desert. It doesn't make any sense. And then this, of course, is the same video that we saw before. All these people out here fucking struggling. You can see, you know, they're just like hundreds and hundreds of them, and like police sirens and shit. People fucking stranded, walking pissed off. Why would anybody vote for this guy? Why would anybody see this and be like, you know what, that's the guy that I want to be president? So the main Twitter thread on this seems to come from a guy named Wesley Johnson. These are the things that he posted, so let's read through them. Wesley Johnson, it's 10:22. Rally ended at 7. Thousands of people are still stranded here waiting for transit back to the parking lots. Something has gone horribly wrong. Someone needs to ask the Coachella mayor if he had anything to do with this. Parking lot is a 2-hour walk. Countless elderly stranded here and can't walk anymore. See, here's the thing, right? He blames the mayor. Why would you blame the mayor of Coachella and not the organizers of the event? It's because the mayor is a Democrat in Coachella. The mayor there is a Democrat, so it must be his fault. And I just wanted to point this out to you guys because it's hilarious how these people default to conspiracy theories. Like, no, it can't be Trump's fault. It can't be his incompetence and the fact that he just doesn't give a shit about people and his incredibly incompetently run campaign that didn't secure transportation for thousands of fucking people. No, it can't be his fault. It has to be the Democrats' fault somehow. Unbelievable. No restroom facilities accessible anymore, no more water, no food. Started with 20 buses for escorting people to the rally. Now only one bus remains at this point. Buses apparently went home. Not confirmed, but no more buses have showed up in the last hour and a half. Someone find out what happened here. This is not normal and it feels nefarious and criminal. It is criminal. The person responsible for this criminality is Donald Trump. Another tweet by the same guy. Was just told by a bystander that the sheriff said there's only one bus in rotation and turnaround time each drop-off is 30 minutes. These poor people are going to be stranded here early into tomorrow morning. How do we go from 20 to 30 buses down to one? This needs to be, I guess, investigated is about what he's about to say. If I had to guess why there's only one bus when there should have been 30, probably because Donald Trump didn't pay them. Donald Trump is notorious for not paying his vendors. So he probably didn't pay for the buses to show up. He probably didn't pay for 30. He probably only paid for one bus. And so that's the only bus that came. Regardless, it's Donald Trump's fault. He's the one that caused this. Any which way you look at it. Either he purposely didn't pay for there to be buses, or he somehow didn't arrange for there to be buses in the first place. Somehow, he fucked up. All right, the buck stops here. You can blame, oh, maybe this was a fault of somebody in his campaign. Well, then his campaign fucked up, which means he fucked up. Because he's the one running the campaign. And if he can't even run a goddamn campaign, if he can't even look forward enough to say, hey, these thousands of people that we bust in might need a way to get back to their cars in the middle of the night in the sweltering fucking desert heat, how the fuck are you going to trust him to run the country? Let's read the second one. This shit is hilarious. 2 buses just drove by. Haven't seen any buses move for almost 2 hours. Someone please reach out to Sheriff Chad Bianco and President Trump and get to the bottom of this. I think something nefarious went down tonight trying to spark a riot. So somehow this is the Democrats' fault for trying to spark a riot of Trump supporters. Oh, it's a conspiracy. It can't just be Donald Trump is a fucking moron and doesn't give a fuck about people. It has to be a conspiracy. It's sad, and you see he's even reaching out to J.D. Vance here. Pretty fucking sad. Here's a couple of other ones. We don't need to read through all these, but what we do need to see is that this guy, Wesley Johnson, took down these tweets. And the reason why he took down these tweets is because the other Trump supporters were giving him shit for it. He was getting threats from other Trump supporters because his tweets were making Donald Trump look bad. That's what it means to be in a cult. See, whenever you're in a cult, be it a religious or a political one, inevitably there will be people who become disillusioned, who wake up and realize, hey, This is bullshit. I'm in a cult. I want to go back to my friends and family. And if they express any kind of dissatisfaction with the cult or its leader, they will instantly get shit on by other members of the cult. And that's exactly what happened here. This guy saw, hey, this is fucked up. Whoever was running this shit fucked up really hard. Hey, it's Donald Trump who fucked up. Although he doesn't actually say it in his tweets, he just alludes to it because that's the truth. The other members in the cult can't handle that. They can't handle somebody talking shit and exposing their leader for who he actually is, and they decide to regulate and put pressure on the guy and insult him and threaten him in order for him to take down his tweets that actually explain the truth about Donald Trump. It's a cult. It's the exact opposite of who you want running a country. You're not supposed to have a leader that you can't criticize running the country. That's called a dictator. That's like Vladimir Putin. If you criticize Vladimir Putin, like if you're in Russia and you criticize Putin, you die. Putin does shit like he murders journalists and stuff like that. He disappears people. He poisons dissidents. That kind of thing. That's what happens when you have a leader that you're not allowed to criticize. And it's really not that far of a stretch. Can you really sit here and tell me that you can't imagine Donald Trump doing those same types of things against his political dissidents? Of course he fucking would. Of course he fucking would. Because that's what he wants. That's what he wants to turn the United States into. And this is just an example about how he doesn't even give a fuck about the people that he's using to do it with. He didn't give a fuck about those people. If he cared about those people, he would have made sure they had transportation. He would have sent somebody out there to help them. 3 hours later, the people are posting about this shit on social media 3 hours after the event is over. Donald Trump should still be in California at that point. I mean, unless they just whisked him off to the airport to go fly back to some other state. That's not that long after the event is over with. Somebody from the Trump campaign should have saw what was going on and called out and got those buses to fucking come back. And they didn't do it because they don't care. They don't give a shit. They got what they needed. They got these people's money, because remember, these political rallies, you have to buy tickets to these things because they're fundraisers. So he got their money. He got his fucking photo ops, shit like that. And now he was done with them. And he doesn't give a fuck about them anymore. They could all die in a flood for all he cares. That's who Donald Trump is. So if you're out there, if you are an undecided voter, which I don't know why the fuck you would be an undecided voter at this point. But if you are an undecided voter, this is what Donald Trump is all about. Do you really want to vote for that guy? Do you want to allow that guy to become president? For my people on the left that are not voting for Kamala Harris, if you're going to vote green, or if you're just going to abstain because you can't vote for Democrats because of their support for things you don't like, and genocide, shit like that, is this the guy you want to allow to become president? Through your inaction, do you want to allow this man to become president? You see how he treats his own people that supposedly he likes. These are the people that he's supposed to be looking out for. You see how he treats them. How the fuck do you think he's going to treat you when he's in power? If the people that support him are getting fucked over like this, what's going to happen when it's your turn? You think you're going to get away? You think Donald Trump isn't going to actively fuck you up too? Please, for the love of God, folks, we got 3 weeks left. 3 weeks. Get out there and vote.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.